It was very loud, and I was inside the floor. It almost became a final destination scene because it was this close to my neck. If it was any closer, I probably would have been decapitated. Hi, I'm Kyle Ong. I'm the co-creator of Ghost Maps.
Hi, I'm Wayne Ray. I'm the other co-creator of Ghost Maps. When we were younger, lots of people would be sharing ghost stories orally. And we realized that it wasn't so common anymore. You don't see as many people sharing ghost stories orally. And that's why we decided to create Ghost Maps. We wanted to create something where we keep that tradition alive.
So we started the podcast in 2019. Way before that, we were pitching a few horror TV shows. I thought that actually the ideas that we have might suit a podcast platform. So we actually tried out a few episodes in 2019, and then it just blew up from there.
It started out with family and friends. And over time, as Ghost Maps got bigger and bigger, our fans started submitting their stories as well.
About 60% of Ghost Maps stories is from my own personal experience or like people that are close to me. This story happened about 10 years ago, and back then I was a very avid urban exploration photographer. So I would go to abandoned places and photograph them. And I visited the Tanglin Brunei Hostel, which is at that point not that famous, but it's notoriously haunted. I was there with a bunch of friends, 8 of us. And the reason why we actually chose the Tanglin Brunei Hostel, it felt like it was the end game for us. Like this big 6-building abandoned location is like nothing we've been before. And during that time, there weren't any fans, there weren't any cameras. So it's actually surrounded by forest, like a small forest. And the first building that we entered is actually this kitchen-esque area, overgrown trees, very dark, light could barely penetrate. And then entering that building, it started to drizzle a little bit, but it's still bright outside. But inside it was very creepy already. Right next to the kitchen, they had like a storeroom area, and that's when I saw it. The storeroom actually had like incense paper like on the floor, burnt incense paper, and then burnt incense like surrounding it lah. But I had a feeling that there was something inside. Like I had a feeling that that place was not safe. There's a reason why people scattered incense paper and the joysticks outside. So the urban exploration went fine. We went around in the abandoned places, scared each other, took some photos, and then the last thing that we did before leaving was actually going up to the rooftop to take a group photo. And that's when everybody decided, oh, it's about 6, let's leave, before it gets dark. So when we hit down, I saw this grand foyer, and that was basically facing the exit. There was actually like stairs, but because it's dilapidated, so it's already collapsed. But there's floors underneath, but it's no longer accessible lah. Because everybody was heading towards the forest. It would take us about a 5-minute walk to get to the safe route lah. I was like, lazy so I will just walk like that down the slope and then just exit lah, like less than a minute, I'll exit this place. And then I have this friend, he looked at me, he knew that what I was going to do. And then he said to me in Hokkien, "Ulang elo, kia lang elo, mai kia bolang elo," which roughly translates to, if you could walk the path of the living, do it. Don't walk the path of the dead. And I was like, whatever, dude. So I walked towards what's left of the stairs lah. And the moment I stepped on the what's left of the staircase, I immediately dropped into the floor. I'm about 1.7, so basically to my head. I was inside the floor. It was very loud, and I was inside the floor. And then the next thing that happened was the beam that was on top of the roof. I think it got affected by the crash up. It came down. It almost became a final destination scene because it was this close to my neck, about an inch away. If it was any closer, I probably would have been decapitated. And then obviously everybody ran towards me and then pulled me up. I wasn't injured. I was just very like dusty lah. And then we went back home and that was it. But the real haunting only happened after, because I was sharing a room with my sis at that point of time. I was sleeping on the top bunk of the bed. It would be very breezy on most nights, but for that night particularly, it was very warm. So I woke up. I could feel, like that feeling that you get when you feel someone staring at you. And I knew I wasn't dreaming because I was sweating. I was like wiping off my sweat. And then I knew like, there's probably something behind me. But I still wanted to go and see. So I turned and then basically I saw an old man's face staring right at me, like this close, like right at me. And like when you're lying down, it's like that. He's actually lying down and staring at me, just the face. And what is terrifying about that face is that it's lit up in blue light. Oh my God, I'm seeing this for real. What I did was I just acted as if he didn't exist. I'm sure the spirit knew that I was acting, but I'll just slowly turn back to the wall, and I just like fell back asleep, just like that. Like it was very dreamy. And the next day I woke up, I was drenched in sweat, like cold sweat. So I knew that it happened. Ever since then, I have not really done any urban exploration, and I have been very respectful because it's a very, very tough lesson, and I almost lost my life.
I was 15 at the time, and I was at a house party at Kovan, or somewhere around Kovan. And it started, the house party started at like 7:30, but we're teenagers. And it was a Saturday. So we stayed over, and it was about like 3 in the morning by this point. Everybody was just like chilling out, and I thought to myself, I should take a walk. So I left the condo, and I started down this road. And it's a pretty dimly lit road. And I came across this cross junction. And it's a cross junction I've walked through before during the day, like plenty of times. But it's different at night. But like in retrospect, you think to yourself, like, what was I doing? It was a strange vibe down there. And there's this building there. It's not a residential building. And I walked by and I reached the part of the building where all the rubbish bins were. You can see the rubbish bins quite clearly even at night. But behind the rubbish bins, it's just complete darkness. It was almost like there was an absence of light. And then I stopped. And I don't know why I stopped right there. But then I felt compelled to just turn to my right. And at this point in time, somebody watching a horror movie, they're probably going, no, just keep running, you fool. Keep running. But I just stopped and I turned and I stared into that darkness behind the rubbish chutes. And for about a second or two, nothing happened. And then 2 red eyes opened right there in the darkness. They just glowed and they stared out at me. There was no way those were human eyes. It was, like I said, it was red, but it's not like its pupils were red. It was just red. There was nothing else in there. And I think for like another second or two, I didn't comprehend what I was looking at. And then I heard something growling. And bear in mind, these eyes are level with mine. So if it was any normal creature, like a dog or whatever, like as big as a dog can get, it probably still wouldn't have bit at my eyeline. And then it growled. And then it moved out. And at that point, my brain went, yeah, run. Now you run. So I turned around back towards the junction and I started sprinting. It came out from that darkness and it started chasing me. I was keenly aware of it being right behind me because halfway through cross junction, I turned around and I caught a glimpse of it. Those same red eyes, I could hear that growl right behind me. I caught enough of a glimpse of it to know that it was just running at me on all fours. The closest that comes to mind is like a massive beast, like almost like a wolfman, I guess. And then I crossed the junction and I started slowing down. Almost like instinctively I knew. And I turned around and it was gone. I looked around for it, and then I just very slowly, probably because I was tired from running, made my way back to the condo. And I joined the rest of my friends. And these one or two friends looked at me, and you could almost tell that they knew something was wrong. And it's not something I've ever encountered since that point.
New episodes of Ghost Maps go out on every second and fourth Thursday of the month. If you have any stories that you would like to share with us, drop us an email at our contact page on www.hantu.sg.
Coconuts TV.